All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Friday, August 15th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is All In Horns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. Today's episode, probably a little quicker episode, but who knows? Our conversation always goes a little longer than what we expect it to. But going to talk a little bit about what we would like to hear going into the Texas Longhorns' second full team scrimmage. And then also we heard from the Texas Longhorns head basketball coach, Sean Miller. He had a press conference. And so just kind of talking about where the state of the program is right now, kind of what the offseason looked like for him, the work that he put in, what he's implementing, what fans should expect to see from his teams. And so we'll discuss some of those talking points as well. But Jake, going into the weekend, any big plans for the weekend? Anything going on with you?
Last weekend we had family in town, so we were hanging out with them and stuff. This weekend, birthday weekend. Kinda. My birthday's on Monday, but yeah, I'm not taking off work, so we'll be doing stuff during the weekend, hanging out with some friends. We're going to like a golf simulator place, so that'll be fun.
That'll be cool.
It's like a bar / golf simulator.
Yeah.
And so that'll be fun. But other than that, probably just watching some preseason football. Got to get into football any way you can.
Yeah.
Get caught up on the SEC show and Hard Knocks and all that, and get as much football in as I can, despite the fact that there's not real football games on.
No, I'm probably going to be in the same boat aside from the celebrating your birthday thing. I will be there in spirit, but yeah, that sounds pretty dope. I'm not going to lie. I got to mow with my dad on Saturday, so I'm not looking forward to that. He gets me every weekend that we don't have all the girls here and they're over with other parents. And so it's like, he's like, oh yeah, well, since you've only got one kid, can you mow yards with me for 8 hours in August? I'm like, sure. But I did tell him, I said, this is the last Saturday, just so you know, there's no more Saturdays after.
We have a reason to now.
I've got a great reason. Even if I didn't have two shows that I had to, keep track of. By the way, speaking of second show, if you're unaware, if you're just now tuning in, Jake and I also running the All In Cowboys podcast. That link down below, give it a click and then give it a subscription. If you're Cowboy fans, if you're not Cowboy fans, you don't have to be. Guess what? I know you Cowboy sickos out there love hating on the Cowboys so much. And Jake and I aren't your typical, this is our year Cowboy fans. We're pretty much more so the depressed, just down and out Cowboy fans. And so you'll get your fix of just Cowboy fans being upset at the Cowboys probably all season long. We are going to look at some of the optimistic parts of it. But anyway, that's for a podcast for another channel. So, Jake, we've got Sean Miller press conference. We've got Texas Longhorn scrimmages coming up. Let's start with the Texas Longhorn scrimmage. We'll end the show with Sean Miller. Just things that you would like to see from this upcoming scrimmage, whether that be offensive, defenses, maybe things we haven't seen, maybe names we haven't heard. What are you going to be kind of keeping your ears and eyes peeled for whenever that scrimmage is over with and reports start coming out?
Yeah, I'll just list one for offense, one for defense that are kind of my number one most important things to me right now. And number one on offense is specifically, I want to see less penalties. The offense, that is something that I've read about consistently. There's been a lot of penalty issues. A lot of those coming from up front as well. You're breaking in a new offensive line, but you want to see them start to be less. I don't expect them to just go from, a bunch to zero. But I would like them to, see them say that, hey, they improved on this. Just see some improvement. And then on the defensive side, I want to continue to see what they're doing at the star position. We've heard so many names. We've heard Grayson Littleton. We've heard Wardell Mack. We've heard Michael Taff, obviously Jelani McDonald. It sounds like they really prefer to keep McDonald at safety. To do that, you may have to put Taff at star, or and Derek Williams gives you flexibility with him coming back and looking good. So kind of seeing how the star position is going to shake out, because however that turns out, to me, is going to kind of determine what the secondary rotation looks like.
Yeah, for me, Jake, I think the one thing that I really want to hear about, at least offensively, is I just want to start hearing reports that the offense is starting to mesh. And we kind of heard that a little bit. We did a previous episode this week about some of the reports coming out from practices of Steve Sarkisian saying that the team is practicing their asses off and, they've looked as good as they have all offseason. I want to start hearing reports of the chemistry on the offense. This team's starting to click a little bit. It's a lot of new players, a lot of new faces on the offensive side of the ball. And I really want to kind of start hearing some of the words of cohesion, chemistry, on the same page, things of those natures. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for. And then for the defense, Jake, I really just want to start hearing more about this defensive line. I know Sark always kind of calls out guys, and it's very hard in today's football world of getting a physical practice. It's really hard to get full out contact and battles in the trenches. But I really want to start hearing more reports about how the defensive line just dominated practice and they couldn't get it. Not Colin Simmons specifically, but just the defensive line stopped the run. And, these running backs didn't have anywhere to go. Now, I don't know if that'd be a great thing for the offensive line. And maybe
I was going to say, I think I've heard enough of that already. I've already heard a lot of that so far.
But good defensive line play and just, stopping the run and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of just, we hear a lot about the secondary. We hear a lot about the veterans, whether that be from Anthony Hill or Michael Taff or anything like that. And so looking forward to those sort of things.
Yeah, I mean, I echo those other than the defensive line dominating, but I mean, I'm a little biased. And also I just feel like I've read enough of that. But the offense, I think the offense is what a lot of people want to start to hear more positive notes from in general. And I think you would agree with that. It's just hearing that they're gelling together, which also will come from, let's not forget the first scrimmage. They were just in base stuff that they're probably not even going to run in games because it's very low motion, low, of the creative side of Steve Sarkisian's playbook. And we know from watching Steve Sarkisian at Texas for several years now that that's not the case come game day. So I'll be curious to see if they start amping up the motion, trying to confuse the defense, put them in compromising positions, and what that is going to kind of look like. And then to name another position, running back, just kind of continuing to see CJ Baxter's progression. See if Christian Clark keeps emerging as a guy that's going to be impossible to keep off the field, and see if anyone can challenge Trey Wisner. It still sounds like from a most recent report I read that Trey Wisner is RB1, and that right now there isn't anyone necessarily pushing for the RB1 spot, but there are some guys generating buzz like a Christian Clark and a CJ Baxter, though he's, probably a little further behind Clark, just as far as his healing progression goes, and maybe on a little bit more of a pitch count. And what, I'd love to hear Jarrett Gibson's name of making, some plays. I feel like it's been a little bit of a quiet fall camp from him, but that may just because his running style works better in a game. He's one of those gamers, I feel like, where he just gets out there and he puts his head down and he gets you the tough yardage.
Yeah, no, and just overall, just better things. Like a lot of what Sark, his comments on earlier this week were about just how good the team looked and how physical they were and the intensity was there. I just want to keep hearing those types of things coming from Sark of how hard the team is playing and how bought in that they are, and that's fine. I think the talent's there. I think the scheme is there. This team's going to know how to play, Sark's playbook, come week one, and so. I'm not always so worried about that as much as I am those other types of things. The effort was there. The guys are scratching and clawing out there. They're
focused on that week one matchup. And then also what I should have said, number one, and you will agree with this, no injuries.
That's the first and most important thing.
Yes, that is. Regardless of what else is said in the practice report, if the report is no injuries,
the thing I don't want to hear is an injury report. That's what I don't want to hear. Yeah. All right, Jake, let's go ahead. Let's jump into the college basketball side of things with Sean Miller's interview. I'm actually pretty excited to jump into this because we haven't heard much from Sean Miller. Haven't talked a lot of basketball lately, and this probably might be the last time we talk about basketball until about a week or two before the season actually gets going because come November and December, it's going to be thick of football season. And so we're going to try to also sprinkle in some Texas basketball at that point in time of the year as well. But Sean Miller kind of had an informal media availability and, talked a lot about the offense, talks a lot about kind of what the offseason and, something that previous coaching didn't necessarily focus on, but, was eager to kind of get to his point across of what his offense is going to look like and stuff. And so kind of the X's and O's of it and just the personnel that he has there. And it sounded like pretty positive stuff.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Just hearing him talk about his offensive philosophy of all 5 guys should touch the ball. There needs to be constant movement off the ball. And that's just talking about how that is how the modern era of college football is basketball is played. I mean, all of that is wet dream material, quite frankly, after the frustrations of the stagnant Rodney Terry offense.
Yeah.
That wasn't fun to watch. And Sean Miller is an offensive guy. And the first thing we said when Rodney Terry was fired was Texas needs to go out and get an offensive guy. And the things that Sean Miller is saying is why we wanted that. He is already saying all the right things. I know he has a scheme that works because we've seen it at Arizona and Xavier, and I think Texas has a pretty talented roster this year. I think if anything, they might come into the year a little bit underrated, and I think that's a good thing because I think
absolutely.
this roster under Sean Miller really has some great potential. I'm not saying we're not talking about Texas football. I'm not talking about winning a national title this year or anything, but potential to be a really fun team for us to watch that we haven't had in a couple of years at Texas, and a team that can be a threat to make a deep run in the tournament.
No, I completely agree, Jake. College basketball. People were like, well, look where your program was last year. College basketball, you can turn around a program in 1 year. You can go,
especially with the talent that Sean Miller got to return and the talent he brought in.
And just him as a coach in general. You see coaches take over a program within 1 year in college basketball, and you got programs that are consistently making. I mean, look at what the Alabama program looks like right now and where they were 5 years ago. So they've been a mainstay in the Sweet 16, and they've been dominating. And so, I'm excited about what Sean Miller brings to the table. One thing that he did mention, Jake, that I thought was super cool. He talked about the coaches retreat that they went on in Texas. And so they get all the coaches, all the head coaches for all the athletic programs at the university to go on a retreat for about a day and a half. And they just share ideas. They learn about kind of the future of the program, certain things that are going to be implemented from Chris Del Conte in terms of facilities and whatnot. But you also just get to learn and hear from guys and what their philosophies are and different coaches for different sports. And he said that was a great learning experience for him and just one of the more cool things that he got to experience over the offseason. And boy, how cool would it be to be a fly on the wall for a coach's retreat at UT with guys like Sean Miller, Vic Schaefer, Steve Sarkisian, Schlossnagle, all in the same room, just hanging out together, talking ball.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of was how do I figure out where they do this so I can sneak in?
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not going to get an invite.
I have to be behind a wall and cut out a hole.
Oh yeah.
I'll do some really.
I just want to hear, or if I could just set up equipment before they go, so I can just listen. And I won't leak it. I'll
do some Norman Bates
hear
it to be in on this. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to hear what they talk about because I know it has to be, just a lot of and it helps these guys, right? It probably they learn from each other, even though they're in different sports. You can learn things about motivating your players, about navigating, this new college landscape. All of these things can kind of bounce ideas off of each other on different coaching philosophies in general, versus being so specific to the sport. And so I think there's a reason that this has become a regular thing, because this is a regular thing under Chris Del Conte. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason that, essentially every hire Chris Del Conte has made has been successful. Rodney Terry be the one that everyone will mention. We've said this before on our podcast. He was forced into that hire. he had no choice but to make that hire. I wouldn't necessarily say that was a CDC direct, him picking his guy. I think him picking Sean Miller was him picking his guy, because guess who he's looking at before he was kind of forced to hire Rodney Terry? Sean Miller. He was consistent with wanting him, and I think we're going to see why pretty quick.
Yeah. And when Chris Del Conte gets his eyes set on something or someone, he ends up getting them, and then they end up having a lot of
even
success.
If it means going to a cemetery and College Station to hide out before you meet him, or meeting a head coach at a McDonald's. Whatever it is.
Finds a way, and he gets it done. Anything else, Jake, that jumped off at kind of that interview, or just, I'm just excited for I think this might be the most excited I've been for an athletic calendar year for the Texas Longhorns athletic program as a whole. I don't care if it's women's basketball, men's basketball, football, softball, baseball, track and field, volleyball. I think every athletic program has a chance to at least compete for a national championship this year. And I'm not sure there's an athletic program that there isn't at least an opportunity or, some sort of expectation to make a run at a national tournament,
Yeah, I mean, the expectation for Texas football making the playoffs is a bare minimum. The expectation for basketball making the tournament and winning a round, if not two, is going to be an expectation, I think, for this roster and for Sean Miller, even though it's year one. And guess what? Softball just won a national title, where expectations are going to be there. And then when you look at baseball, the expectation is going to be to the College World Series. I think that will be the absolute expectation, bare minimum. They need to make the College World Series this year. And even jumping over to a volleyball, the expectation is going to be to get back to those national titles that they missed out on last year. So, just as a whole across this entire program of just every sport, I think there's a lot of excitement.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Everybody have a great weekend. We will be back Monday. And then come the following week, Jake, we're going to our Tuesday, Saturday schedule because we will have game one ready to go. Texas, Ohio State. Winwood's game week. We'll move from Monday, Friday slate of episodes to a Tuesday, Saturday. And our Saturday will obviously be the immediate reaction following each and every single football game. So you'll tune in on that. And hey, if we get to 1,000 subscribers, our Saturday episode, we will do live. So if we can get to 1,000 subscribers, we will do a live episode where you can chime in, give comments, join us on the episode, and we'll go for 30 minutes to an hour talking with everybody about the game and stuff like that. So just if you hear if you got some friends that are Longhorn fans looking for a good YouTube channel, go ahead, get them to subscribe, because the sooner we get to 1,000, the sooner we can get to a live episode and start interacting with you guys on a regular basis. So again, that's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. Like, share, and subscribe to not only this channel, we've got a link in the description to our All In Cowboys episode. So if you're a Cowboy fan, go ahead, or not a Cowboy fan, but you just like hearing miserable Cowboy fans, give us a subscribe on that channel as well, as we're trying to grow that. But yeah, we appreciate everyone's support. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.